Hello, my name is Greg Davis and I would like to welcome you to the CBS ArcSafe webinar for medium voltage motor control centers and medium voltage load break / line isolation switches. Today we're going to show you 6 different products, and while we may not show everything that we can do, so I can give you some examples of what we're not going to have on display today. Things for like an IT 7850 or an ABB 3695 motor starter, a Westinghouse amp guard or Eaton amp guard motor starter. We have actuators for those also. We're going to do the Square D HVL, but we don't have the Square D HVL CC, which is a rotary operation. So these are to let you see the various things that we are capable of doing. The first one we're going to start out with is the GE Limitamp contactor. This is a CR 194/194A type contactor. This is the RSA-9B, and it's made to latch on with 2 of our high-strength magnets. It's got one more position lock down here at the bottom. This is the interlock defeat for pushing in the hand defeat that you have to be able to actuate the handle. A couple things to note: we have the RSA-9C and the RSA-9E, which actually will defeat this electronically and then allow you to actuate it. So we have a couple different versions depending upon what you want. This mounts fairly easily. We've got a locator right here, which is going to go up at the top to help us position it. And we've got a locator at the bottom. Once we have it in position right here, we're going to turn on our 2 magnets right here. We're going to put our little stub lock down there. We'll put our interlock defeat down and hold it in place. And all of these actuators that we have today, we can operate with the RSA-1. So these are all simple open close. We hook this up with the RSA-1 right there. Now we can turn it on. If we go to radio remote and we turn on our radio remote, we can see that we've now got a light here. We've got radio continuity, and while we could operate this actually from 100 meters away with wireless, you have to hold it down for the entire duration of the travel. So if I hold trip now, because we've got it in the closed position, and if I hold close, it's going to go up to, okay? And that's how easy it is to operate the RSA-9B. When you get done, you'll work to turn your RSO off, and you'd work to first release your interlock. Release this, release the 2 magnets, and remove the RSA. The next RSA we're going to worry about is the 147. Now, some of the funny things about the HVL switch is it can come in a left mount or a right mount. We can have Kurt keys here, we can have Kurt keys on the door, we can have Kurt keys up here. They can come in a variety of positions. This is made to accommodate all of those. Now, some other things that you may go is, well, that's an HVL switch, Greg. I've got a line interrupter switch, or I've got an inverted feed mount. We can handle those with variations of the RSA-147. So that's not a problem for us. We just need to know which version of the switch you have. And if you can send us pictures, you can send those to info@cbsarcsafe.com, or you can call us at 1-877-472-3389 to get us in touch with you and help us figure out what it is that you have and what you need for remote switching capability. Again, info@cbsarcsafe.com. Some of the fun things we have to do is when we actually get new employees, we make them come out and actually actuate this. And what I'll show you is after we've done this once with the RSA, just how difficult it is by hand to do this. We'll take the RSA off and just show you. So we have our employees learn to appreciate you, the operator in the field, by coming out and having to do this by hand. Okay, we've got it on. And now we've got this in the closed position. We're going to hit the trip button, hold it down for the travel. We're going to hit the close button. Okay. This actually has a set of micro switches for the travel limit, and that's set up so that we know, because of the way the knife blade switch operation is, so that we complete the operation and we don't try and go past what the physical limits of the switch are. We use that actually also on the remote switch actuator you'll see for the Westinghouse LSI or WLI? WLI switch that we're going to do here in a couple minutes. Some things to note about this RSA is, let me get the pin out first so we can, let's see, take this off. This is how you actually lock the arm in place right here, is with a little clevis pin. And once you've got that disconnected, now we've got 4 magnets here to take off. I'll save the top one for last. Yep. This stainless steel tab right here rides in the crease and helps with the mounting of the RSA right here. Okay? So, like I said, for people that aren't familiar with the operation of the switch, having to do this by hand, it's not too hard when you go to open it. When you go to close this, if you tried to do this one hand, you're going to have a handful. So the RSA definitely gets you outside of the arc flash hazard boundary for the operation of this switch. The next thing we're going to look at is the Allen Bradley. Okay. '71, the RSA 71. This is for the legacy version Bulletin 1500 Motor Control Center, medium voltage motor control center. The current version and the older version are to Allen Bradley / Rockwell International Bulletin 1500 series. So if you were to look at a 1980 catalog, it's going to say Bulletin 1500. You're going to have this picture. If you get to the early 1990s and it says Bulletin 1500, it'll be this picture over here for the next one that you're going to see. And they don't make a distinction in the catalog's numbers that we found looking at this. So we have to ask you for pictures of your switchgear. You say, Greg, I've got Bulletin 1500. We're going to say, great. Send us pictures, help us figure out which version of the two you have. This RSA mounts with 2 simple magnets. It's got a locator at the top and a locator at the bottom right here to help hold it into position.
Greg, you might also touch on what we use, meaning the gray handle versus a red and black handle.
Then, okay, yep. One of the other things is one of the other ways to distinguish the current version with the legacy version is this one's going to say Allen Bradley Centerline right here. It's usually a 2-high cabinet where both cabinets are chest high or below for the operation. And it's got a metal handle that's all gray and with a flange mount that's behind the door, okay, or recessed from the door. The current version of the 1500 is a red and black plastic handle. So that's one of the easy ways to distinguish the two. The switch is in the open position right now, so we're simply going to go to close. And we can go to trip. Now, all the switches that we're operating right now that you see that are mounted on the cabinets are operated by an RSA-1. When we get to the next switch, we're also going to show you the ABL3, which is a version that if you only have one switch to operate and that's all you're worried about, that'll be the more cost-effective approach. When you have several different switches, we would recommend our RSA line of products versus an RSK line of products. Okay, so just everybody needs to understand that. The first one we looked at was the original RSA-71. This is the RSA-71C. And again, it operates the black and red handle. You'll see it looks black right now. I don't know if, Brian, do you see that in the camera? Okay, when it comes to the closed position, you're going to see it go to red. So you'll be able to see when we go from trip here and we go to close, the red side of the handle will show up. So that's what we mean by a red and black plastic handle. Okay? And so now we go to trip. And that takes care of it. Now we're going to show you the ABL3 version for if you just have this kind of switch, this is all you're concerned about. It's got wireless control out to 150 feet, Ben? Is that right?
Yes, yes, sir.
150 feet. So let me disconnect my RSA-1 here. There we go. And we'll set this down. Now this is the ABL3 kit. It's made for just the Allen Bradley current generation Bulletin 1500 medium voltage motor control center. You've got the actuator, you've got the controller, you've got the Milwaukee M18 battery and the battery charger. They're all a single kit, and it's again capable of controlling out to 150 feet away. It attaches with two switchable magnets. We have to take the 18-volt battery and put it on here for power. And that clicks in place. Then we take our controller and we have to tell it to wake up. So there's a little wake button right here that you can't see just below here. And I tell it to wake up. And so it turns red. And now we press and hold to enable the device. And we hold down the on button here to close the system. If we want to trip, that's how easy it is. Okay? Then when you remove it, you simply tell it to go to sleep. Put your controller back in the box. You can take your M18 battery off so you de-energize the system. And then we would take our actuator off. And place it back in the box. That's the most cost-effective if all you're worried about are your Allen Bradley current generation medium voltage motor control centers. The last one we've got is the Westinghouse LIS. WLIS, sorry about that. And this has got a frame that you can see. We're going to use the top portion here to help us orient and to be able to locate everything. So
Kind of talk about the differences in the MVS versus the WLI in terms of which way it's set up and everything like that.
the WLI is located normally on the right side of the switchgear. And so it's set up to operate here. You've got the LIS and other ones that they've got, which have variations in terms of what the shape of this is, how your frame is mounted, whether it's on the left side or the right side. And so these are variations that, because of the geometry, one actuator doesn't do everything, but you need to have something that's going to accommodate the geometry and the operation switch angles that you're going to encounter with that various switch. This first one, okay, we use a locator that's up here at the top. This is going to help us set this up here and hold it in place while we latch all the magnets in place. That's the first thing. So you can see that that right there takes the weight off my hands as I go to put this in place. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work to get this, the operating assembly, in line with the switch and the operating mechanism. Okay, and I just need to move it over just a hair. It's about right there. Now I can latch all 4 magnets in place. Okay, at this point I have to get this arm into the operating mechanism. So we pull the latch down here at the bottom, pull the pin out, and then we're going to move the arm out here just a little bit to help ourselves out. And we have to pull the spring down and compress it to get ourselves lined up and into the switch. I'll just need to push this down just a little bit, and then I've got to get it into the switch the rest of the way and get it fully seated. Now that it's fully seated, and I've made sure that it's fully seated, now as this switch goes up and down, the spring is going to help hold the arm in place as it travels through the range of operation. You also have 2 micro switches on this remote switch actuator to again monitor the travel up and the travel down as we operate the switch. If you've got questions about which type of switch you may have, again, send us an inquiry at info@cbsarcsafe.com or call us at 1-8774-723389. Here we go. We're going to close the switch now. And now we're going to trip the switch. And the micro switches on the remote switch actuator are what are governing the travel distance so we don't exceed the operational distance travel of the switch itself. Do we have questions, Ben?
We will open it up now for questions.
Okay.
You might want to say, feel free to.
Yeah. So again, we use the RSA-9B. The variants we have of the RSA-9, which are for the GE Limitamp, are now the thing to note is there's actually 3 different generations of GE Limitamp. You've got an old one which has a silver handle that clocks up and down from a horizontal rotation. You've got one with a black handle that you actually push in to rotate, and we call that the rotary version of the GE Limitamp, and that uses the RSA-9R. We've seen those in domestic facilities also. And the current version, which we would say is the 99% of the GE Limitamps that are out there, whether it be a CR7160 or IC7160 or a CR193 or 194 with the current DC door on there with the black handle that goes up and down, that would be what we use the RSA-9B, the RSA-9C, and the RSA-9E for customers. The 9B is what you saw there. The 9C accommodates if you've got Kurt keys on the left side of the switch, and the 9E actually pushes this down and operates the handle both. So it depends upon what you want to have or what you need for your switches. We'll give it another minute or so. Again, this is the Square D HVL switch. This comes in a load interrupter switch. It comes in a line isolation switch version. You can have top feed and bottom feed. Send us your pictures at info@cbsarcsafe.com. We'll help you figure out which version of the RSA-147 you need for that. If you have the HVL CC, we have both the interrupter switch capability, and we also have the push button capability to turn those on and off if you have that. Now, the interesting thing about the HVL CC is the Square D motor packed medium voltage motor control center looks very similar, and we have RSAs for that also. We'd like to thank everybody today for tuning in to our webinar on covering medium voltage motor control centers and on medium voltage switching. Again, 1-877-472-3389 or info@cbsarcsafe.com. Thank you again.